Sharon, thank you to each of the people for presenting here this morning. Can I just ask in relation to the process that's there at the moment in relation to the beef plants? Say you take that someone has the symptoms but they do not inform anyone. What is the process there at the moment as regards the employer intervening and insisting on the person going for a test if the employer becomes aware of it? Can anyone give an answer?
I think the way you preface your question is a bit misleading. I think he says if they don't tell anyone. If they don't tell anyone, well, I don't think no one will know they have a symptom unless it's pretty obvious. So I think that's why temperature testing has been an important element. It's in the guidelines of June 30th. But there seems to be a mismatch of an approach to how we deal with such.
Is the temperature testing being done?
If I may make a contribution on this, we know of a situation in a food production plant, well, not a meat plant, but food, dairy, in West Cork, where during lockdown around May, some workers had very obvious symptoms and they were not the ones purposely trying to hide them. They wanted to stay home, but it was actually the employers who insisted that these workers keep coming into work. And there was actually a massive walkout of all the factory employees on that shift in order to protest for their own lack of safety.
I just want to go back to the process at the moment.
So often it is not the workers who will willingly dissimulate their symptoms. It is more likely the sort of shift.
No, I just want to establish what the process is at the moment in factories.
Deputy, I might assist in answering the question by saying to you, in the National Protocol on Safe Return to Work, there is a section in it in terms of what happens if a worker contracts COVID and it's identified. And immediately the employer has a duty. Firstly, all employments should have an isolation room. The employee is asked to go to the isolation room. Contact is made with the HSE in relation to the public health issue, and the HSE will direct the employer. The employee concerned is encouraged, is the word that's used in the document, to contact their own GP and so on, and there will be an engagement between the HSE public health people and the GP in relation to how best to. But immediately there is an isolation process that kicks in, and there is every protection offered to ensure that the employee concerned is looked after and to include that there is prevention and protection for the rest of. Now that's laid out very succinctly in the protocol. But Deputy, I would offer this.
Taking that employee that's identified that is a suspect case, are the other people that worked with that person over the previous number of days also asked at that stage to isolate pending proper testing?
Yes, and that would be a matter that the public health officials would be notified by the employer.
Are we satisfied that that has occurred?
No.
No.
No, sorry, Deputy Burke, we're not satisfied. I've given examples already of where it hasn't occurred, where workers' significant outbreaks have been confirmed, and workers who would have been in probably the same canteen, the same toilet facilities, etc., continue to deal with perishable product. So, no, we're not satisfied that's taken place at all. As I said, it's a mismatch of an approach.
Were there any incidents where, over the last number of weeks, where he became aware that someone was a suspect of having COVID? They were asked to self-isolate. There was no action taken in relation to the rest of the employees. And have you come across cases like that, and have there been complaints filed with the relevant authorities on it?
So we have a relevant example with our union. We have one plant which is strongly unionized with our union in West Cork, where there was a massive cluster of COVID. And while some of the workers were tested positive and told to self-isolate, other workers who were living in the same house were told to keep coming to work, even though there was contact tracing. Management had all the workers' addresses, so it was obvious that these workers were all living in the same place. And also, as
sorry, the question I'm asking: when he became aware of that, were there complaints filed by the unions with the relevant authorities?
Yes, we have filed complaints on behalf of the workers who were put at risk. There was a sort of confluence of factors in that case. Also, the workers had to wait for a long time to get their test results, and they kept working in the meantime. So we have filed complaints on everything. But as you know, for instance, the WRC at the moment is not working since March.
Can I just ask, in relation to SIP2, was there a number of complaints filed by where proper procedures weren't followed by the industry, and what kind of numbers of complaints were filed by SIP2 in relation to this matter?
It's significant. There's been significant complaints filed with us about workers, but I'll give you one really bad example that I was on the end of a phone for myself, where a worker earlier this year, and probably at the height of the Den crisis in May, going from memory late May, they annually would head back to Eastern Europe to visit their families, which they did. They came back to self-isolate, and the employer says if you self-isolate, there won't be a job for you in 2 weeks' time. So if that's the sort of an approach, we need enforcement and we need policing of this through the HSA.
There's a lot of issues raised here today in relation to living conditions of the people, working conditions, pay, lack of pay while people are out sick. Do you not feel at this stage, is it time to set up a commission to look at employment in this whole area?
Through the Chair, now just let me do this. On the last time that I came in, I said to you, we operate in this state where no worker has any right or entitlement in law to be represented collectively. That's how bad the situation is in Ireland. Can you imagine now a meat factory owner who wants to keep their business going, who wants to keep this very tight schedule of production line and so on? Do you think they're going to stand back and say, well, Patricia King said that such and such is happening? They have no interest. There's
the question I'm asking, do you believe at this stage, can I just ask the question, do you believe at this stage that a commission should be established to look at, and especially about the agency workers and paying conditions and lack of sick pay, do you believe a commission being set up is the appropriate way of dealing with this now?
No, well, I think because of...
You can call it a commission, call it what you will. I wrote to the then Minister for Agriculture on May 15th looking to set up a task force with all stakeholders in the industry to get this right. And I was told, no, it won't be happening, it will not be constituted. So I absolutely do believe we need to bring all parties together. I do believe we need to focus on the conditions of workers both inside and outside of the workplace. That is the only hope we have of beating COVID within the meat industry.
Thank you.
If it is convened, I hope it's a bit more successful than the beef task force.